Hey everybody, welcome. Thanks for coming to the first ever developer keynote at the first ever Wow. It's kind of a momentous day. We've got something for everyone today. I'm thrilled you're here. I'm new at Workato. I just joined. I've spent time at AWS, Google, Salesforce, and Microsoft, and I cannot tell you how excited I am by what you all got to see this morning that we've been working on for months. Now, what is this keynote about? You probably saw the schedule and said, the developer keynote? Well, not everyone here is a developer. Well, we're in a very interesting change right now, where because of AI, a lot of innovation is happening in every role. It's happening in our IT departments, it's happening with the business users we work with, and for all of you that are developers, you're feeling it every day with all the new technologies. And if you're in one of those other roles, or you're experimenting at night, developers are where a lot of the hottest, most interesting AI change is happening right now. So what we wanted to do in this keynote is really reinforce that no matter how you're approaching AI, Workato is going to be there for you, and Workato is going to make it magical. Make sense? So we're going to go into some developer technology today that you may be hands-on with and have a ton of experience with, and you may see some things that are less familiar to you. But I assure you, there are people in your organizations, and you have friends that are developers that are playing with these technologies, and we just, again, want to show you that however you want to tackle AI, Workato is going to be there for you. So some of the things that are happening that are exciting are new developer tools that let developers work in new ways faster than ever before. And they kind of range. Some of those tools are tools like Cursor or Hero from AWS. That's a developer coding assistant that sort of changes a little bit how a developer works. It's more agentic, but it's an agent working with them, writing code and helping them tackle code problems. And at the end of that, they still own the code, and it's up for the developer to take that code through the rest of its life cycle. And there are other examples where developers are using tools like Claude or ChatGPT as kind of an advisor as they go to give them advice, tackle problems. And then there's some other new things that are super exciting, like vibe coding. Has anybody heard of vibe coding? Really cool technology. And we have friends from Replit and there are other companies in this space where you could just express as a developer or even somebody really curious and aspiring to build something cool, put your idea in text and have an application built almost instantly where all the code is managed for you. And then some developers like to go really hands-on with the code, and their language is Python. They want to write Python. They want to know exactly what their code looks like, and they're going to use an agent framework to help them build agents in a really productive way. What's important about all of these things from our perspective is Workato can enable all of those different approaches and help those AI agent projects become more real faster. And that's because at our heart, Workato loves developers. I came to Workato because I was so excited of this opportunity to take what Workato does and better connect it with the developer community. This is a company that's built by developers, think really deeply about the technology inside of our Workato, and developers are sort of in our DNA from the beginning. And there's a little bit of a false tension I see in some IT shops right now, where sometimes there is a business systems team that's doing great things with Workato, doing great things coming from sort of the integration orchestration space, and there might be another team that's more of a programmer-oriented ML team that's building agents with code. And there's a great opportunity to bring those things together, because as you saw this morning, many of those things written with code struggle to get all the way to production. We heard some of those stories this morning. So why does Workato uniquely make this possible for developers and enable every AI project? And it's those two things you heard about this morning. The first is all of that data you want to get into your agents, it lives in different business systems. It's hard to get to. There's a lot of fine-grained security stuff that has to be done exactly right to make sure your CISO is happy before you put it into production. That's enterprise context. And it affects the agent quality also, because if you can't get the right data into an agent, it just makes things up, right? Like, no problem. And it'll just make something up that's not really in your business. And then the second thing is we want our agents to have agency. We want them to be actually able to do things, not just chat with you, but go do a thing. Onboard that employee, drive that business process to closure, process the lead, whatever it is, actually do things with agency. And that's where we heard about trusted skills this morning. And so even if you're a developer working on the most innovative agent in the world, you need to be able to drive agency and drive actions in a trusted way. And again, Workato brings developers and IT and the business together. Now, there's something fun on the bottom of that screen, and I think you see it here. We're excited to celebrate all that Workato does. We brought a character to life, and this is Dewey. And I just wanted to take a minute to introduce Dewey. You saw it as in our genie icons inside the app. And Dewey is the face of Workato's AI genies. Dewey will spot opportunities, take action, and keep your work moving forward without you needing to ask. And Dewey's here to help you get things done. We hope Dewey is a real celebration of everybody in this community and all the amazing things you do. And we're going to have a lot of fun with Dewey, so stay tuned. Okay, so what I wanted to cover today, first, is a new announcement. So I'm really excited. I've been working on this in the couple of months I've been here. Workato is excited to announce a new AI research lab based in San Francisco. We've opened up a beautiful facility in the Dog Patch where we're bringing together our AI researchers, our engineers building new developer products, and our developer, customer, and partner community so that we can bring all this AI innovation to life. And one of the things that was really important to me as we tackled this was not just to live in the domain of using AI services via APIs and prompts and wrappers and sort of that iterative things you do, but really get deeper into the models where we could take agent behaviors and get them into the weights of the models, not just in lines and lines and pages of prompts. So we want to get that core capability on staff so we could really help our customers. We drove an acquisition of a company called xmad.ai, a really hot startup, frontier agentic AI research team, and they have expertise in things like model post-training, synthetic data generation, automated evals. It's a big area. Most agent projects don't have robust evals. We're going to help our customers with automated eval tools, and continuous post-training, where customers can get a model optimized with their data for their use case with continuous improvement to that model, improved fine-tuning over time. So we're excited to bring all these projects to life. We'll be bringing customers and partners into the AI Research Lab in San Francisco, and super excited to get that off the ground. Okay, we're going to cover 3 things in this talk today that I bet everybody in the room has heard of, and many of you are probably doing every day, and some of you have just heard of. And that's number 1, Model Context Protocol, a way to take APIs and systems and data and make it easily accessible to LLM-powered tools. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about vibe coding, the ability to just chat with a tool and have an application made for you, almost like magic, where you really don't have to look at the code. You don't have to own the code. And then we're going to talk about managed agent runtimes. And that's how a lot of engineers prefer to work, which is starting with like an open source library that helps them do their work and sort of hanging their agent off that and working in Python or a language like TypeScript to write code. And we're going to show you these things because I want to make sure you really understand what they are. And my goal for the team when we put this together was make sure these were photo-worthy, educational. So make sure you hold us to that standard and let us know if these really are deeply educational resources for you. Okay? Sound good? Developer Keynote? Okay. I want to start by going into the platform that makes this possible, and I want to invite my colleague up, Neil Shah, who's a product manager who built a lot of this, and I want Neil to go into why is it that Workato is so relevant for developers and provides a lot of value doing things that they probably are not going to want to do on their own. Neil, come on out.
Thanks, Adam. So I'm super excited to share with you a bit more about the platform that actually drives everything that you have seen so far. All of the features and capabilities that were shown earlier, I want to dive a bit deeper into showing you under the hood how we make it so that you can build with us safely, securely, and at scale. So Workato is a cloud-native, elastic, serverless platform. But what does that really mean for you? This means that every single time we make an update, your production workflows are safe, but you get to utilize the latest offerings that we have. It also means that if you run 1 job today, 10 tomorrow, and 1 million the week after, it does not matter. You do not need to worry about peak provisioning or servers. We handle all of that every single time. And this is because our entire runtime is completely containerized. And what that means is that we're now able to build upon this consistent build and security experience, offering it across a variety of features. This is what allows us to have data pipelines, API platforms, workflow apps so easily and so seamlessly. We offer 0 downtime upgrades. So every single time we make a change, you're safe. But Workato has spent the last 10 years developing things so that developers don't have to worry about production-ready workflows. And what that means is we have triggers that ensure that every single event is processed only once in queue. You never have to worry about concurrency issues coming up and you not having to do duplication on your own end. What that also means is our credential management goes above and beyond just simple API tokens. We have end-user connection. These scoped connections is what you interact with when you look at our platform on Go, across Slack, Genies, or even MCP. This ensures that any single time you interact with any of our services, we make sure that only your data is accessible to you, and only the actions you perform can be carried out by these agents. We also have connectors that have built-in retries, and so if anything goes down, if the end system goes into an issue, we handle it. Your jobs never run into issues. And that is the power of the Workato platform that we offer to developers when you go out and build your integrations and automations. But Workato goes more than that for data security and compliance. We want you to make sure that as CISOs and security teams, you can be rest assured that we cover every single thing. We go beyond the basics of RBAC and SSO. We encrypt all of your data at rest and in transit using customer-specific keys that are rotated on an hourly basis. No other platform does that. And then we took it a step further. We allow you to bring your own encryption keys so you can encrypt your data in a way that we can't even access it if you do not provide us the key. And we also continue that by having what we call an external secret manager. You want a unified way to manage your credentials to your most sensitive applications. Even your developers should not be having access to it. And so we allow you to store these in a central manner, manage them centrally, and only provide the reference to Workato, and that's all you need to do. We even have audit log streaming, so every single action that is performed on our platform can be streamed for auditability and for your compliance purposes. So what does all the security and production readiness really get you? What this means is that now you are set up for the AI era, for the agentic era, with your seatbelts on. You don't have to go into this alone, and you can do this in a safe and secure manner. And the first I want to be talking about is Model Context Protocol. So imagine you're John from marketing, and you just want to go ahead and build out a social media post for the latest Q3 numbers. You have to go look into Google Sheets to get the latest numbers. You have to look into Figma to look at the brand guidelines. You then have to go and look into Jira to actually go ahead and put an update on the ticket. And you're constantly context switching. And what you really just want is to go to Cloud and say, hey, give me a draft to get started. And you're not able to do that, and you're constantly juggling between all of these tabs. And that is where MCP comes in. MCP provides a natural language interface to LLMs and AI agents, allowing them to understand what they have access to and what tools and applications they can work with. The MCP client, in this case Claude, goes ahead and says to all of these applications, what actions can I perform? It gets back a list of these tools and then is actually able to execute upon them in a manner that is intuitive for AI agents. As of today, most of the MCP servers that you'll see out there are local. They interact with these applications on script that is running or code that is running on developers' laptops with stray API tokens. And that is a nightmare for governance and security. Ideally, you want to be interacting with remote MCP servers that directly interface with the cloud APIs. But what we have seen today is that most applications don't actually have remote MCP servers. And so you might then end up relying on registries, some public source APIs or public source MCP service, and these could be bogus. You might end up with a MCP server that is actually masquerading as something else, have your credentials stolen. But even in the ideal scenario, you actually utilize a remote MCP server from the application provider themselves, there are a host of issues for you to consider. You have authentication and authorization, logging and access and governance. And what all that really means is that when you want to go out and give access to your entire enterprise to these MCP servers, to the right set of users with the right set of access, you're unable to do so. So the power of MCP ends up curtailed significantly. And that is why I'm so happy to talk about Workato's Enterprise MCP server. It is a no-code way for you to compose and deploy MCP servers to all the applications within your ecosystem, and it opens up the power of the Workato platform. And I want to talk a bit about this composability aspect of it, because MCP are so much more than just APIs, right? They're just more than API wrappers. They are tools where you want to compose the logic. You might want to chain multiple actions and build out what we spoke earlier about enterprise skills, actually, to ensure that your LLMs can work more intuitively with them. We also offer you authorization, quotas, PII controls, and everything that you come to expect from an enterprise-grade platform. And to see it all in action, I would love to invite Jasper up on stage. All right, Jasper, let's see what you got.
Yeah, thanks, Neil. OK, so here's the use case, right? You described the situation with John. I'm sure every marketer knows this pain, trying to juggle through Jira, Drive, Figma, Slack, just to get one thing done. I want to take that potentially up to 15-minute marketing headache and turn it into a 30-second solution just with this initial prompt I'm going to give my Claude agent. So I've typed into here, update the campaign visuals based on our Q3 learnings, and create tickets for the design team. And let's watch what happens. OK, immediately, Claude is attempting to search through my Google Drive files. And what we notice as the very first thing that happens is that Claude is actually attempting to call my Google Drive, but it tells me, oh, I need you to first authorize your own Google Drive access. So let me open that link and go through OAuth. And this is a really important call out here. AI deciding to call that API, it's doing it on behalf of me, right? It's not using a service account that has really broad permissions to my Google Drive. It's prompting me to authorize my own account. OK, so I will go ahead and tell it I'm authorized. Oops.
Very excited.
Yeah, very excited.
Awesome. So could you maybe show us what would you have to be doing if you did not have this MCP server, right?
Yeah, so if I didn't have the MCP, as a marketer, I'd have to go into my Jira account. Maybe I'd try to figure out which projects the relevant issues are in. I'd have to click into each ticket and figure out what updates have been made since the last time I looked at it. I'd have to go through my Google Drive and figure out, oh, where was that analytics report? Is it in this analytics folder? Is it in Q3, Q4? Once I find the report, I have to dig through some Google spreadsheet and read all of the metrics. And then if there's any Figma files that we're working on, OK, I'd have to go into Figma, read some comments in Figma. You can imagine I'd have to take all that context and wrap it up into something actually usable. And it would take me a pretty long amount of time.
Yeah, I'm surprised your Chrome hasn't hanged yet.
Yeah, I have a lot of tabs open right now. So let's check back in with our agent now. We can see that it's taken my authorization and just immediately started executing these actions. It has searched Google Drive 3 times, searched my Jira tickets. Oh, it's also getting a specific Figma file comments, and worked on creating some tickets, attaching a file to Jira.
Well, maybe you could share a bit about how it knew which Figma files or Jira tickets to look at and create, right?
Yeah, so that's a really, really good question, because like you mentioned before, this isn't just about exposing raw APIs. We actually wrapped these tools from multiple different applications into the same MCP so that the agent has the context it needs to call the right tools at the right time. So if we open up one of the search Jira tickets skill, we can actually find the asset ID from a Figma file, and it uses that to get the comments from Figma, all contained in the same MCP.
Awesome.
Now,
looks like it's done.
Yeah, so it finished up, right? Successfully updated the campaign visual strategy, gave me a summary, links me to 3 different Jira tickets, and great. It also looks like it sent a Slack message to my team with that update. So if you look over in Slack, yeah, the same update was sent to my team with links to those tickets directly.
So, but how did you go ahead and build this on Workato? Could you share a bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. So we started with this marketing API, right? It's an API collection that we built for the marketing team with endpoints specific to their job function to deal with attaching files to Jira, sending Slack messages, searching Jira tickets, searching Google files, et cetera. Now, what I want to dig into one of these tools to show the composability of these APIs to really indicate that these aren't just wrappers around the raw APIs. So if we look at the attach file to Jira API endpoint, this is doing a composite action between both Google Drive and Jira, where it's taking a file ID from Google Drive, downloading the content, and uploading it into the Jira ticket. Now, if we tried to get AI to do that on its own, you would get any number of results. It would probably do this right some of the time, but it's much better
to chance, right?
You don't want to leave that to chance.
You know exactly the business process that you are trying to go at. You want to map some information, and this is going to be done every single time deterministically, while you leave AI to figure out the stochastic aspect.
Exactly. So
this is great, but how does the MCP server look?
Right. OK, so we take our API collection, and we're going to go over to Workato's AI Hub, and we'll create a new MCP server from our existing collection. I'll hit create, and that was it, right? 4 clicks, and you have a fully enterprise-grade, production-ready MCP server. All you really need to do is take this remote MCP URL and copy it, paste it into whatever tool you want to use the MCP in.
So this is actually exposing all of the capability, all of the various applications with this single MCP server. That's really cool.
That was it, yep.
Could you share a bit about maybe how the end-user authorization looks like?
Yeah, so for that existing MCP that I was using, this is controlled through Workato identity, which grants access via groups to the specific MCP server with OAuth 2. And we can control which groups have access to which MCP super easily. And there is one other option. I mean, you could switch the method to a token-based access, but for the purposes of being able to control the runtime connections that the MCP is using to execute with my credentials, we're connecting it to Workato identity in order to provide that feature. So if we go into our runtime user connections, I kind of refresh this, you'll see a new connection was just created a couple minutes ago from the authorization of my Google Drive account.
This is super exciting. So we went from, in a few minutes, a few clicks, for allowing marketing to go ahead and utilize all of these applications, composing an MCP server, and exposing it out. I'm super excited for the process.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jasper.
Sure.
And I would love to call upon Chloe on stage to talk about vibe coding.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. We're so excited to have you here at the developer keynote today. Not every project starts with a stand-up meeting or a sprint plan. Nowadays, sometimes it can start with a question as simple as, what if I just build this real quick? And this is all thanks to a brand new method of programming that we developers are calling vibe coding. Fancy. You can picture some sparkles around my face when I say that. And this is all thanks to the rapid exponential growth of AI. Instead of having to spend hours, weeks, days having to think about requirements, meeting with teams, having to work with specialists for various integrations, you can now just spin up an app using natural language, just a couple sentences. So when inspiration strikes, you can go right into your IDE and build your application. It makes it as easy as chatting, generating code, and refining that code, and doing that in a loop until you get to the correct piece that you want. And vibe coding lives on a spectrum. On one side, you have low-code, no-code tools that are visual, drag and drop. You don't need to write a line of code at all. And then we have tools like Cursor that are IDEs powered by AI that allow you to write code way faster than before. And this is at lightning speed. And developers typically slip and slide a little bit of a mix between the two, I would say. Sometimes we're using a mix of no code with code, and that really depends on the project, the deadline, and the amount of espresso shots consumed. But a wise person once said, one cannot code on vibes alone, and that wise person was me when I put together this presentation for the keynote. You need a couple things and considerations when vibe coding. You can't just run on pure vibes. You need access to corporate data. You need to be able to integrate into your existing systems. You need to be able to make very important considerations around security and authentication. And there's also deployment and operating, making sure that you are enterprise ready to get this live and build it at scale. And Workato's here to help. Instead of having to build all those connections from scratch, you can just have ready-made integrations and automations that can take care of all these things for you. So no need to think about the logistics of connecting directly to corporate systems, managing authentication, and also you're going to be set up success for deploying long term. It isn't just a prototype or a demo app that you're spinning up. And vibe coding isn't just fast with Workato, it's fast, and most importantly, it's enterprise ready. So you don't have to think about losing your momentum while you're vibe coding. All of it is built in with Workato. So even if you're dealing with complex backends or routes or connectivity issues, or maybe you're really worried about security considerations if your developers are vibe coding, then you can keep the good vibes going and you don't have to wrestle with all of the setup. So let's see this in action. I've talked about it a lot, but Jasper's actually been vibe coding something that I'm really excited for you guys to see. All right, Jasper, what have you been vibing on?
Yeah, thanks, Chloe. So this is our DUI Design Co app. It's a solution that we developed for the marketing team. Following up on that MCP demo we did a couple of minutes ago, that wasn't enough for them. They wanted to take that integration work 10 steps further. So here's what they told us. Right? They wanted a more unified view of all their projects. Chatting with the agent was good, but they still wanted to be able to visualize everything that they had going on. They wanted to be able to attach assets easily from Google Drive, from Figma, from Adobe, and they wanted it to look really, really nice. So that's exactly what we built for them. Right? We can view our projects here on the dashboard, dig into the product launch. We can view all of the tickets in a view that makes sense for them. I could dig into each one of the tickets and attach assets directly from those apps with live integrations. And I can even view the Jira sync history.
And this is just mock data for the sake of the keynote, or is this actual data?
This is live data, right? So if you, let me jump back to my previous demo for a second here. Right? We have design 67, 68, and 69 that got created by the AI agent. And those are actually the top 3 tickets in the to-do column directly in the app. This is like live integration as we're doing the demo. And like I think like this is one of the most, the coolest parts about this is that this entire app was built entirely through conversation. I didn't actually do any API development. I didn't do authentication or server management, anything.
Wow, it sounds like a lot of work across multiple teams, but built with just conversation, that's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, if we had to do this the traditional way, it would have taken me quite a long time. If I was implementing OAuth and implementing secure credential management and error monitoring, logging, et cetera, there's like your backend team would end up spending weeks just trying to research the APIs, doing requirements gathering, building it all out, and they'd have to go through rounds of security and IT reviews, and it would just be a big headache. And that's before you even get to the front end, right? I didn't even talk about what it took to get this nice UI connected to a fully hosted backend.
Okay, this is looking really cute. I love how this looks, but it's not super useful without our data connected to it.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it looks great, but it's not super useful without that data. So we started with just the front end, right? We built the app in conjunction with the marketing team, and we made a really nice prototype. And we used the tool called Replit. If you're not familiar with Replit, it's a coding platform that allows you to to build beautiful applications just through AI conversation. So for example, here I am on the Replit home screen, and I can just type a message in, like, I want to make a project management app for marketers that includes the ability to sync projects from Jira, attach assets from Google Drive, Figma, and Adobe, and hit Start Building. What you get after a few minutes of thinking is something like this, right? You get a proposed design. And we took that initial design and went through several iterations of real-time feedback with our marketing team to get to the state that you saw in the live app. So we just, through conversation, the marketing team said, hey, we want to have subtasks, and we want to be able to have better asset previews. So we built that just by prompting the agent to do so. And we finally ended up with what you saw today.
Okay, so we vibe coded the front end, and we have the back end now. How do we use Workato to connect those things together?
Yeah, so I'm excited to talk about a new integration, actually, that we built with Replit. So here on the Replit integrations tab, we can see Workato is a new external service that we can connect directly into Replit next to all the other tools that you would use to build your Replit app. And we can open that up, configure it, and it's super fast. You just put in your host, your API token. Replit stores those things securely as environment variables. And what that does is it actually gives the Replit agent a whole new suite of tools that allow it to use the entire Workato platform to help build up the app. So in our agent, I prompted it with, hey, create an API collection in Workato. And it used the CLI to, it first made a mistake, ran the help function to correct itself, then did it with the right syntax, and it finally created an API collection in Workato. And I didn't have to actually write any of the code, and I didn't even have to go into the Workato UI. That meant that I could stay in the tool that I was working in, but the agent actually helps me build up my entire backend. And I want to really hit on this point because one of the most challenging pieces about building these applications is that in order to get the backend built, it's so much backend work to do it in a way that is enterprise ready and at scale. And Workato can really help with that. And we can have an agent that has the ability to spin that stuff up with very, very specific dedicated tools. You can get up and running that much faster. So what we got in Workato as a result was we have this GUI design API, which has all of the endpoints that are needed to actually drive the app, that have CRUD operations on projects, and it has endpoints to list the available users, to understand who's authenticated, and it has options to create tasks directly in the app. So we have this fully integrated backend. We just used the agent in Replit to finish the implementation of the API through just natural language, and then we have everything kind of connected. The final result is that we get a API client created with a key that gets sent back to the Replit agent securely, and then it can use that to finish the implementation, basically.
Wow, I hope everyone in the room really understands how much of a game changer this is. Spinning up something like this could typically take anywhere, depending on the requirements or the different endpoints that you need, six months probably, Jasper, is that right?
Easily,
Yeah.
easily. I mean, I think with the traditional flow, this would have taken months of requirements gathering and planning and engineering work, deployment of servers. But with Workato, I was able to do this in just a matter of days. Right? It was a single developer. I didn't need 6 different specialized development teams. I coded the front end. We had real-time feedback from the marketing team where they got to provide feedback on their requirements, build it out exactly as they wanted, and we're left with this app, right? That they're like, okay, we want to include a timeline view. We built that out. It's just super easy to build these surfaces perfect for whatever your use case is. And I really think that this is the future of application development. We can just take our ideas and turn them into beautiful apps with fully hosted, enterprise-grade infrastructure driving them using Workato.
Wow, that's so exciting. It really is kind of the future of programming, allowing a lot more time for innovation and being more creative. And it sounds like you got to involve the marketing team as well.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, it's really, really awesome stuff here.
All right, well, I think Adam has a special guest that he wants to bring on stage, so let's welcome Adam back.
Yeah.
All right, can we get a hand for the demo with Replit? Chloe, Jasper?
Thanks, everyone.
Super cool. Good vibes all around. Replit is amazing, and if you haven't tried it, you really need to. And I'd like to invite up a special guest. I'd like to invite up Scott Kennedy, Vice President of Engineering from Replit, who's joined us. Welcome. Hey. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. Well, I am a big fan of Replit. It's been a joy to use it and experiment with it. Explain a little bit of the magic. What do you see your users doing in use cases? Tell me why it's taken off so much.
Yeah, Replit's vision has always been one about empowerment. It's sort of fitting that you call this a developer keynote, even though not everyone's a developer. We always wanted anyone who had an idea for software to be able to bring it to life. And last year, when we launched the first generally available coding agent, I think that really started to happen, and so you saw it take off. All sorts of people could build apps who couldn't before.
And you could take an idea, and instead of writing a document, you could just start iterating on what that app would look like. It's almost like magic.
Yeah, it's almost rapid fire of what software engineering's always been. It's just the fun part now.
It's just
Take out a lot of the grind and gluing APIs together and just see things come to life.
Well, my experience in dev is often what's not the fun part is figuring out how to go from a prototype to production and get real data and get sign off from my CISO and get actual access to the apps and stuff. So that feels like a really good opportunity for Replit and Workato together.
Yeah, absolutely. We want people to be able to bring Replit to work, and we see people doing that. They have ideas how to make their job more efficient. Maybe some SaaS they don't think they need a license for, or that tool doesn't work well for them. And the key is really doing data access in a secure way. And so that's where someone like Workato can be someone natural to work with for us, because you do that really well.
Yeah, that integration is really exciting. The For those of you that are in the know, the Workato CLI is brand new, and to see that available inside the Replit agent, so their Replit agent is calling into Workato to provision the things it need. It's a really great integration. Excited to see where we take it. Can we get a hand for Replit? Scott Kennedy. Thanks again, Scott. Yeah, cheers.
Thanks, Adam.
All right, good, right on. If you haven't tried Replit, it's really a fun experience to try. I want to go to our next topic, and this is manage agent runtimes. And we're going to go deep on this, and I want you to really dive in and make sure you understand this. If you're not using these, the developers in your organizations are, and you're probably wondering, how does this all work with Workato? So I know nobody better to explain that than Zayne Turner. Please join me. Join us out here on stage and take us through manage agent runtimes with Workato. Thanks.
It is an honor to be here at my first WOW and the first developer keynote, and it is a sheer pleasure to get to talk about managed agent runtimes, because really, we get to talk about code. And when I started developing, I was self-taught, and it was really kind of intimidating to learn how to decode what I was reading on the screen, what I was understanding, and that's really what's at the heart of these agent frameworks that have gained popularity over these last couple years. And if you haven't worked with one, or maybe you're new to development, the popularity behind them is the fact that they're the pre-built libraries, the toolkits that make it very easy to do very powerful things in just a few lines of code. And up here we have, a framework I invented the other day in order to have it on a slide, my framework. And you can see at the top we're doing things like imports. My framework, we're going to import an agent or a cool model, those sort of pre-built components that are built for you. And then down below, we're going to do get data, go grab something from a website in one line. And then down below that, I'm doing something called decorating with it at tool. It's just Python. You can call custom code really quickly and easily, so I can give my agent even more skills. And then down below, that's one line where we're going to call a model. And as we all know, model providers have their own APIs with their own API specs, their own names for models, and in one line, I can swap models in and out. And then down below, I have a very, very complex prompt. How long is Las Vegas Boulevard? And then we're going to wrap it all together and feed it to our agent, our prompt, various kinds of tools, and then we can invoke the agent in just a few lines of code. And that's what frameworks let you do. Very quickly and very simply, you can do a lot of work. And that's why agent frameworks have also grown in the variety and type. On this slide, we have just the top 20 or so most popular frameworks on GitHub. And you have a variety of architectural styles that you can take. On one hand, as a developer, when something like an error occurs, you can control it. You can program what happens and retain a lot of control. Or you can defer, and at runtime, let the agent decide what happens. You can have different kinds of teams supporting the agent. One end, if your team likes to work in code, there's a framework that will support that. On the other end, if the team prefers to work maybe in the UI, something that's more declarative friendly, there are frameworks that will support that. And given all of those different sorts of contexts that you may need to triangulate for, there will be a framework that you can choose. Heck, you can even just choose a framework beginning in Lang and have any one of those contexts support you. And all of this means that this incredible variety, the richness and activity on open source, mean that we also have to think about a lot of these things when we're going to deploy these frameworks in the enterprise. Because open source decision making in the enterprise brings a lot more considerations for all of us. The activity in open source, we also have to think about the provenance issue. Just like MCP servers, we have to not just think about the maintainers and the originators of the framework itself. We have to think about that whole software supply chain. Any dependencies that that framework may have, can we trust them? Can we bring them into our landscape? Do we even know what those dependencies are? If we think about the number of pull requests, some of the most popular frameworks may have hundreds, if not thousands, of pull requests merged over the course of a week or a month. Can we keep up with updating our own references to the frameworks, our own versions? And as developers, I think we all know, with more control comes more responsibility. And as we own that end-to-end life cycle from idea to deployment on through maintenance and observability and production, it means that the business is then going to be signing up for that whole topography, that whole complex terrain of that agent lifecycle. And that is a lot to manage. And that's why today I'm very excited that we're going to be showing you managed agent runtimes with Workato. It means that you can have the flexibility of choosing your own framework and then deploying it on a trusted infrastructure on Workato. So at runtime, you're going to get more observability and more control. You're going to get that increased security for the resources that your agent may want to use. You're going to get the ability to tap into those trusted enterprise actions to make your agents even more powerful and let you focus on different kinds of logic as a developer. So, enough talking. Are you ready to see this? I want to welcome my colleague and friend, Chris Miller, to the stage because we built a little something that we want to show you. Welcome, Chris.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, Chris, so what do we have in store here?
Well, every day when I come to work, I have to check email. And I get a lot of email, as I'm sure a lot of you do. And my team works across multiple time zones. And that means that things are changing constantly, even while I'm asleep. So after email, I have to look at Jira and check tickets that have changed. I need to go through Slack messages. Feels like it really kills my productivity. It's a real drag.
It's like a whole job before your actual job.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought, I'd like to do something about this. What if I could come into work and I could look at a single pane of glass and I could have all the details I needed to know to start my day? My calendar appointments, tickets that have changed, files that have changed, even current trends that are going on in the industry. So I don't have to read through all those newsletters that go in that folder I never look at.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
And this is exactly what you're looking at. This is an email that was generated by my agent. It has my schedule here. You can see different tickets that have been modified. And in fact, I'm able to pull from the same source that Jasper did earlier and bring in those tickets from the marketing team.
And I like that as we're scrolling, it's a little bit fast with the tiny text, but I do see that you're actually getting summaries. The agent is kind of giving you an opinion of what changed or what happened, and that's one of the powerful things that LLMs can give you. So you're actually saving time.
Yeah, it saves me a ton of time, and it's just a really concise view. And if I'm really interested in any particular thing, I could just click a link in the email to get to that actual ticket or that Slack message.
Okay, so I wonder, did you use some sort of agent framework to build this?
I did. I actually chose to use AWS Strands. It's an open source framework. It's vendor agnostic. I can use any model. I can run the model anywhere. I can run the code anywhere. So it's super flexible. It's less opinionated. And so it allows me to just kind of be in control of how I want things to work.
Can you show us that?
Sure. Okay, so here we have VS Code. This is my integrated development environment. It's the tool that developers like me use to edit code. And here you see Python code. And you can see some imports here that include strands, and I'm even using MCP here.
Okay, so, and we're all experts in frameworks now, so we know exactly what you wrote. Can we see your agent in action?
Sure. All right, so we go ahead and run this, and what it does is it goes through and it starts talking to all the different tools via MCP, checking out Jira, Google Calendar, Google Drive, looking for those current trends. And then it calls an LLM, and it starts to wrap all this complex data that comes back from those endpoints and builds this daily summary that you can see being printed right here.
And those of you that maybe aren't familiar with integrated development environments, this terminal window, it lets Chris run this on his local machine. And that's not exactly how you got that email sent to you by your agent, is it?
No, this is more the build process, but I want this to run automatically for me every single morning. So I can't run it on my laptop because it'll be closed. So I need to run that in the cloud, and in this case, I want to run it on Workato.
So how are we going to get there? Are we going to copy-paste, do a lot of clicks? How are we getting this to Workato?
We could copy-paste, but we've been working on the Workato CLI, and it allows us in one click to be able to deploy that recipe into my environment.
And I just want to take a moment, because it's not released yet, but it is coming soon, the Workato CLI command line interface, which will let you developers stay in your, say, your integrated development environment and do things like Workato push, move your code around into the cloud. It's going to be a really great way of working for you. Really excited to bring this to you and hear your feedback. It's going to be really awesome. Yeah. So can we see what that looks like in Workato?
Sure. Okay, so this is my main recipe screen. So each one of these represent a connection to a data endpoint, and it exposes it as an API, similar to what you saw in Jasper's demo. So all of these are combined into a collection that is then wrapped into an MCP server. And in fact, I can even use the same MCP server that Jasper made because he can share it with me on the platform. But we'll just dig into one of these real quick here. So here in Google Drive, I want to look at files that have been modified over a certain period of time. On a Tuesday, I probably want to see files that were modified since I left work 12 or 14 hours before. But when I come in on a Monday, I may want to see all the files that were modified over the entire weekend. But what I've done here is this time period in hours is a little data pill that gives the agent control, so the agent can decide how far back it wants to go collect these files. So these aren't hard-coded rules in here. I'm handing the control to the agent so it can act autonomously on my behalf.
So you can mix and match that developer control that you got with Strands with that data pill in Workato and give the agent control. It's really nice.
Let's take a look at the recipe.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the main agent recipe. I have a simple trigger here. It's built into Workato, runs at 9 o'clock in the morning, Monday through Friday, because try not to work on the weekends. And here we have the manage agent runtime. I'm passing in secure secrets through environment variables. And then if we get down here, you can see this is the same code that you were looking at in my IDE. It just got pushed out here, and we're ready to rock and roll.
And I can see down there you have an action that's creating an email. Is that the only thing you can do with this?
Yeah, actually the payload that comes out of the agent has all of the information to be able to build that email, but it's in a format that can be translated into just about anything. So this is just a simple action that sends it via HTML email. But I started talking to people within the company, and the marketing team said, hey, we could really benefit from this, because if it's saving you time, like we have more people on our team, it'll save us a bunch of time. But you know, we're not really email people. We live in Jira and Confluence, and you know, it'd be really cool if we could just open up Confluence and have a daily brief and a web page. And so that's what I built. I just added another action. It takes all this information, puts it in a different format, uses a nice little template, and here we go.
Oh, nice. Of course, marketing team, it's confetti, but who doesn't like a little confetti to start their day?
Yeah, so
That's
here
awesome.
you see same kind of information.
Yeah, hey, Adam.
We Design Co. I like it.
Exactly.
Let's give a hand to
Thanks.
Zayne and Chris for the demo.
All right.
All right, thanks everyone.
So taking those coded agents and running them inside, deploying them inside Workato is brand new. I want to do a special thanks for the engineering team that made this possible, this technology breakthrough possible. They worked really hard to bring this to life. Some few quirks and things to work it through, but Workato is a great, secure place to run things like LangChain, Crew AI, and the hottest new framework that you just saw from AWS, Strands, from our friends from AWS. Okay, so that's what you saw today. I'll wrap it up really quick and we'll move on. First thing, Model Context Protocol. Model Context Protocol, MCP is hot, fully managed, secure, composable MCP, so you can get all these agent projects working inside your organization. You saw that first. And then you saw vibe coding with great technology like Replit, building beautiful applications, and then using Workato to make those secure backends to get that corporate data in a way that you trust with our friends at Replit. And finally, that manage agent runtime that we just talked about. So, two last things. First of all, we just released something really special for everyone here and for all of your friends in the developer community. And that is the first ever Workato Developer Sandbox. Now, this is a free version of Workato that actually has everything in it. So it's more than 1,200 connectors, full MCP support that you saw, 50K in credits, which is worth about $1,000. And if you follow the link there, Dewey is showing you the way, you can get a free developer sandbox. Take a picture, take a second, take a picture. You can log in with a Google identity. You can use your GitHub credentials, which is a really nice way to do this, and start working with Workato as developers and exploring all these things that are possible. Everybody got it? Great. And we want all of you to really join and be part of our developer community and keep up with all the stuff that's going on. Here when these things go live, like the CLI, and sign up using the link, and we'll keep you updated on news. We're building this for you. We're building it with you. We're building it in the open. And no matter how you want to make AI, Workato is going to make it magical for you. So thanks very much, and I hope you have a great show. Thanks.